Hello and welcome to this year's first episode of Update. My name is Nadine Pilko, and as always, I'm happy to navigate you through the next 45 minutes of knowledge seeking. And what topic could be more suitable than to talk about Veganuary for the start of the year? Because I guess all of us have good resolutions, and one of the most important things for changing the food system is actually having good campaigns. So why not start off the year with the good resolution of maybe eating vegan or maybe also be a flexitarian? And I'm so happy to today have two experts here at my side to talk about Veganuary. Welcome, Tony Vernelli, International Head of Policy and Communications at Veganuary, and also Denise Schmidt, brand activist from The Vegetarian Butcher. Denise, what are your good resolutions for this year, and what are you actually working on and doing at the Vegetarian Butcher?
Yeah, hello from my side. Thank you very much for the invitation. I've heard that wishing a happy new year ends January 10, so I'm going to keep it like this. So my big resolutions is not to have big resolutions because my experience that you end them before you even began them. So I think that for me it's a good mixture to have. Something like, okay, having a even more balanced lifestyle. So the balance between like something that really is just joy, then discipline, having a good nutrition, doing some active stuff. So not to push yourself too much. But yes, I have also booked a ticket to run a marathon in September. So I have some results to deliver this year.
Tony, what are your good resolutions for this year? And maybe you can also already jump into what Veganuary has made out of the market. I mean, it's there for 10 years. Maybe you can already jump into how people have their good resolutions and if they stay a resolution or if they maybe even stay being vegan.
Hello. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have New Year's resolutions myself personally. I already try and live the best life that I can. So nothing to change. I have a few goals, but not really resolutions. I'm a competitive power lifter, so I've got some goals around competitions and what I'd like to lift at those, but nothing that I need to change about my life to achieve those things. Veganuary is a 31-day challenge where we support people to try vegan in the month of January, but they can actually take part any year, any month of the year, any time of the year. They can go to our website and register to receive our supportive emails. They'll get 31 days of coaching emails with lots of nutritional info to help them. They can join our Facebook group to get moral support. And then during January specifically, we really focus on businesses. Well, we focus on them the rest of the year, but in January, that's really when we want them to have, all the new products out, new menu items, things like that, so that people who are taking part in Veganuary find it much easier to get plant-based foods in their local area, because obviously that makes it more successful for them when they're trying out plant-based eating for a month. Our participant surveys show that out of the people who took part, I mean, really, this has been consistent for the last 5 years. So these are people who register on our website and get our emails. So not, the general population, because we know most people who do Veganuary don't actually register with us. They just sort of think, okay, I'm going to do it and I'm going to stop eating animal products for the month. But for those who actually register to get our emails, consistently for the last 5 years, about 80% have said that they intend to reduce their consumption of animal products by at least 50% when they've finished their pledge. So obviously that's massive, that's a huge change in people's lives, and certainly for the planet and for animals, that is phenomenal. It makes a massive difference to both of those key issues, reducing by 50%. If the whole population did that, then we'd be on a good track, certainly as far as climate and biodiversity protection go. So it does seem that, doing it for just 1 month does give people, good habits to take forward. They realize it's not as hard as they thought it would be. There's lots of nice foods out there they can eat. They've experimented with new recipes and new ingredients. And they think, yeah, I'm going to take some of this forward with me.
And can you maybe tell us a bit more about how Veganuary even came up? Because I know it's like 11 years old and it's so successful for Germany also. Like, what was the initial idea behind it, and is there anything you can tell us for companies seeking the campaign to change the way people use food and or eat? Is there a key finding or something you have from the last 10 years we can take and give the companies out there saying we want to create a similar campaign?
Yeah, so Veganuary was founded by two animal rights activists. They were, vegan advocates, and they'd been doing a lot of volunteer work for other animal organizations, outreach and things like that. And they realized that there were a lot of groups out there educating people on the reasons to choose to eat plant-based, but there wasn't really a group out there that just focused on supporting people who wanted to make this change. So they thought, right, well, we'll do that. We'll fill that gap. And they were really motivated by how popular some of these 1 month challenges are, certainly here in the UK. So Dry January has been going for a long time, and that's very popular. Movember, where men grow a mustache for the month of November to raise money for a cancer charity. Stoptober, where people are encouraged to stop smoking in September. So these are October even. So these things are very popular already. So they thought, well, let's do that. We'll copy that idea, 1 month challenge. January is obviously the ideal time because people want to make healthy changes. So that's how it started. And they just ran it in part-time, in their spare time. I mean, pretty much full-time, but totally volunteer in their spare time, just dedication to the cause. And they had to do that for years and years. There was no money in it. There was no, no glamour in it. It was hard slog by two activists who just really were passionate about helping animals. And then eventually, it was just snowballing and snowballing. It obviously hit the zeitgeist at the right time. It resonated with people. And eventually they were having, 250,000 people signing up. So at that point, then businesses started to take notice, and they were like, oh, this is a thing. And there's lots of people actually coming in January and asking for plant-based options. So, there's a market here that we can cater to. And so then in 2019, sort of the first big launch, like that got a lot of publicity, the Greggs vegan sausage roll happened. And from there, it really just exploded. Then we had Burger King launching a plant-based Whopper, and, it really just, McDonald's eventually the next year, and it just went crazy. So that's kind of how it happened. I mean, having been an activist for a very long time myself, I think the secret to Veganuary's success is that it wasn't a hardcore vegan message, and we've toned it down more and more and more over the years. That just puts people off. This is about, give it a go. Try some plant-based foods for a month and see what you think. No one is saying you have to change your identity, that this has to be something you do for the rest of your life. This is just, give it a go. What have you got to lose? People like to challenge themselves in that way. No one wakes up in the morning and thinks, I want to give up all the foods I currently like and I've, gotten used to eating for the rest of my life and never eat them again. That's not an enticing prospect for most people unless they have some sort of huge, revelation about animal suffering. But if they don't have that, it's just too much for most people to think about. So if you think 1 month, give it a go for 1 month. What harm can it do? You might even find you enjoy it. So I think that was the key to their success, and never being judgmental, never being the vegan police, just don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. Do the best that you can. If you slip up, don't worry about it. Like, it doesn't matter. No one's coming to police your fridge. So I think those two things in combination of what have made it a success.
Denise, you are nodding. I guess you want to tell us a bit more about your approach also, how you, like, the vegetarian butcher is also quite a success story for the last 10 years. And I have to admit, I ate one of your burgers last week and it was really delicious. So I'm already a fan. Can you tell us a bit more about the history and what you're maybe currently working on?
Yeah, sure. So I was constantly listening to Tony, and I saw many parallels to, let's say, the beginnings of even the Vegetarian Butcher. Vegetarian Butcher was founded October 4th, 2010, so not far away, a bit earlier. International World Animal Day, and this is not a coincidence. It was founded by a son of farmers in the Netherlands, Jaap Korteweg, who really wanted to change the system in terms of releasing animals from the food chain. He had experienced it himself, and he wanted to change that. So this was like the early intention of building that brand. So without that mission, the brand wouldn't exist even today. And to really have an impact on these farmed animals, he also claimed that he wanted to be the most influential and biggest butcher in the world, so nothing less than that. So very high hopes, high intentions, and so this mission really accompanies us until today. So it's our core driver. We even have the numbers of saved animals in our KPIs included. So this mission is very, very important to us. And today you talked about success stories. We have done some, let's say, good expansion. So vegetarian products from the Vegetarian Butcher are now in more than 55 countries, from retail, but also canteens, restaurants, but especially food chains, like we've mentioned, Burger King, Domino's, Subway. So in terms of products, great visibility, let's say, but our commitment always was and still is to really help with our influence, but also to really have a commitment to accelerate the whole category. So the whole plant-based movement that we need to have a systematic food transition. And this is how we do it. We have campaigns, political campaigns. We communicate a lot. I guess we're going to talk about communication afterwards. But this communication, how to approach different kind of people with different motives, from vegan to heavy meat eaters. So this is one of our core work. And we also do political work with alliances, because there is, on the one side, we want to win more and more people individually to put some more importance to plant-based options. On the other side, we want systematical change with laws and with a level playing field when it compared to animal meat in our category. So successfully campaigns have been, for example, that we tackled the issue of denomination of animal meat alternatives, where we had some successes that we are able to really refer to the category that people are in when they still eat animal meat. So really have a fair chance to win these people. And for example, tackling that industrial farming is not mentioned, and the negative effects of that are not mentioned enough within the climate context. So this is what we do. So individual change on the one side, and society change, big word, where we talk about political advocacy on the other side. So this is basically core of my job, and I really am super happy that we are sponsored this year of Veganuary, because of these parallels and because of where it started. It started with the animals. So on both sides there are like this animal advocates, and I personally, in my former job, I was head of campaigns in an animal welfare organization. So I know about suffering of animals, and I know how important it is that we simply help people guide people to implement more plant-based option, and so in the end that we have an impact, and the impact would be to really have a reduction of the consumption of animal meat step by step. This is why I really like the approach of Veganuary so much, that it's not finger pointing, that's what we are not doing as well, but to really have the impact, still never lose the view on the impact. And this is what we all want to achieve with these approaches, that we really have a systematic and long-term change for animals in the intensive farming system.
Thank you, Denise. I would like to talk to you guys about the difference of supporting and transforming. But first, I want to share a question from the audience to Toni. What's the breakdown of how people hear about Veganuary, and what motivates them to stick with it?
Okay, I'll answer the second part first, because we do ask them this in the participant survey we send out after their pledge. So the number one thing is it was easier than they expected. So, they go into it thinking, I'm only going to do it for a month because it's going to be a challenge. And at the end of the month, they're like, oh, that actually wasn't much of a challenge. They don't realize beforehand just how much of what they're eating is already plant-based, how easily recipes can be made plant-based simply by swapping out a few ingredients, but the rest will be the same. They don't have to completely overhaul their diet. So that's the number one reason people stick with it. And the second one, quite consistently, is they've learned more. So about the health benefits, about how animals are treated, about the environmental impact. So they've learned more, they've become more educated about the issues around, plant-based food and why they might want to stick with it. So I guess once they started eating it and they saw this actually isn't so bad, and I'm actually doing a lot of good for animals and the planet and myself by eating this, why not stick with it? As far as how they hear about us, we don't really monitor that, to be perfectly honest. We run a lot of social media ads throughout the year, encouraging people to register on the website and receive the emails. We don't do any other paid advertising. We don't advertise in any sort of, print media or anything like that. It is really just social media ads, and we primarily run those during the campaign, the lead up to January. The rest of the year, there's just a trickle going on. So, certainly in the UK now, we did a survey, YouGov survey 2 years ago when it was our 10th anniversary, and more than 70% of the UK population had heard of Veganuary and knew what it was. So the penetration here has been quite profound, mainly through media coverage. That's mainly how people have heard about us in the UK. And then, of course, when supermarkets take part and restaurants take part, they use our logo and they put it on the menu and they put it on their signs and, encourage people to come in and try their Veganuary special. So most people have heard of us. They don't know that we're a charity, and they don't know we exist as an organization. They think it's just something that you do in January. And then when they find out there's actually us, we exist, they're really quite shocked about it. But yeah, we don't actually monitor that one.
I know it from Germany. You are very successful, and I guess the companies supporting Veganuary do help. The question I have in my mind all the time is is this then about supporting? First of all, support of people. Is this really supporting people who want to be vegan or want to eat more plant-based? Because actually we are talking about, for food system transformation, about even a broader approach. And also, is it then about vegetables? Are we or do we need more vegetarian butchers out there? And please feel free to talk about this also. How helpful are products the vegetarian butcher product?
I can jump in first. So I guess when Veganuary first started, their focus really was about supporting individuals, getting individuals to change. But we really shifted that 6, 7 years ago. And now our primary focus is just getting everyone in the population to reduce their consumption of animal products. And we do that through changing the food landscape. So we now really feel that the corporate engagement work we do is far, far more important and has a much bigger impact than supporting individuals. Obviously, we want them to have a successful month, and we want them to try and plant-based, enjoyable, so that they do carry on eating fewer animal products. But ultimately, we will change the world and the way people eat by changing the food that's available to people to purchase. So that's really where we see the greatest impact of Veganuary, and where we put a lot more of our energy now. Products like the Vegetarian Butcher are essential. I mean, they really are essential for people who are coming from a typical Western diet, where they're used to making a chicken stir fry of an evening and just throwing in some, pre-shredded chicken that they bought at the supermarket. Like, to suddenly say to them, okay, you now have to go out and buy tofu and press it and marinate it, and then 2 days later you'll be able to make the same delicious stir fry that you normally make just with some tofu. I mean, it's unrealistic for someone who's just transitioning. So if you can say, go into the supermarket, there's these products available, high protein content, and, and I'm not just being flattering here. Like, there are some plant-based products I won't eat. Like, I have no interest in eating things that are not offering me nutrition because I'm an athlete. So I really am picky about what I eat, but the Vegetarian Butcher products are good quality products. They're high in protein, they're low in fat, like, they have a very good nutritional profile. They've thought about trying to emulate not just the taste of a product, but the nutritional quality of the product that people will be replacing it with. And this has been lacking. You can't throw jackfruit in a stir fry as a replacement for meat. It has no protein. So it is really important that plant-based brands are actually thinking about nutrition and not just taste, because we know health is a massive motivator for people to try this. And just generally in society now, health has really become much more a focus of people. So these products are essential. We do find that many people rely on them fairly heavily at the start, and then it wanes. Once they've tried more recipes, they've expanded their repertoire, they've experimented with tofu and tempeh, they've brought in a few new, unusual vegetables into their diet, which for some people could be something like broccoli, like they've just never really eaten a lot of vegetables. And once they start doing that, then they rely less on the plant-based meats, and they become more of a treat or a convenience meal. Just like any other diet, no one should be eating hamburgers and sausages every day of their life, right? We have to primarily cook from scratch, and eat vegetables and fruits and whole grains and all of that. And then these products are like a nice addition to that. But that should be the basis. And that's always really been Veganuary's message.
Denise,
I just wanted to follow up on this.
Supporter or transformer? Maybe you can give me a short insight on that as well.
Sorry, I didn't get the first part of the question.
Supporter, like support people who already, want to eat in a different way, or rather a transformer, reach people who maybe don't even know there are good vegetarian products or vegan products out there.
Yeah, I can echo Tony, what Tony has said, and I would definitely say that convenient products are an easy bridge to walk over. I can totally echo that. We know this from experience. And to focus on these convenient products is that, we want to have more and more people. There are still a lot of people out there who are so-called heavy meat eaters, and to really get their attention might be one option to have rational arguments about it, so health, the nutritional aspects, environmental, animal, and therefore and make it easy and accessible with like products from the Vegetarian Butcher or any other products. But on the other side, I think it's also important, and this is a big achievement that Veganuary has done, is to also tackle the emotional side. So to create an area where you feel comfortable, where you have where you find inspiration for your very personal nutrition decision day by day. So that's what you eat is very personal, and having that effect that Veganuary has over the last 10 years without finger pointing is a big achievement. Like animal welfare organizations have tried to really tackle the rational arguments, and not have been that successful, let's say. And I think it is really important when we talk about personal diets that yes, we have the rational arguments in place, and when we compare a plant-based option to animal meat, there we often have data on our side when it comes to fiber, salt and fat, etc. But on the other side, the category is not doesn't have to be defensive. It's also about really promoting power of plants, let's say, because there I think there's still a bit of lack of knowledge why it is so good to have a plant-based diet included. So I would say transformation first is an easy access, really get people with the same schnitzel and the same shade, and really have, well, this is without sacrificing, this is a plant-based schnitzel, but it's called like this, you find it where you used to buy your animal product, etc., etc. But then have an open mind and really find a good communicational approach together with others. I think this is a challenge for all of us, to really have a narrative that is engaging, and so engaging that people stick to what they have begun maybe in Veganuary, just to integrate it. And we have successful examples for it. For example, milk, cow milk. We've seen how naturally this transformation can feel if it is supported and guided the right way. And of course, it sticks to be a personal decision. But from our experience, you win a lot of people's hearts and minds with the right communicational approach. And this is also, it's fun. Come to our site. Let's try it. And if you don't stick to all of it, it's also fine, because you will still have more impact on the environment, on your health, on the planet, animals, etc. if you even change one thing and stick to it, because we cannot all become vegans, although it would be great for all of us, for the planet, but also to cherish and cheer up the people who stick to even one thing they have changed. And if it's the milk in the coffee, or if it's their traditional food where they swap. I think this is something that we really always have to think about when we talk about communication and motivation of people to try plant-based.
Talking about communication, there's one question from the audience, how the term plant-based has maybe changed the way people, or the openness of people for Veganuary, but maybe it's for both of you also, like how the term plant-based has changed the game all in all. And do we maybe even need more other words? I mean, this is a discussion for years now, but is anybody working on any lovely terms we can use in future? Denise, I don't know when you want.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. I mean, I think plant-based has helped, definitely. You know, I mean, Veganuary's whole thing is about removing the identity element of vegan. You know, that whole dogma around being a vegan. I am vegan. You know, this is my identity. I mean, we just don't use that terminology at all. We will not use the word being vegan or I am a vegan as an identity. We will describe it as vegan food, a vegan diet, vegan options. So it's an adjective, not an identity. And I think that has been the biggest problem with encouraging people to eat more plant-based foods is, you know, it has so long been associated with this is my whole identity and these are the rules I have to follow to be part of this group of people. And that's just not the way to create widespread societal change. So being able to use plant-based as an alternative just takes away that whole stigma from veganism and vegans and the vegan movement and all of that. So I do think it's helpful. I don't think we need another term. I think what we just need is to call it food. It's just food. It's food that everyone can eat. It doesn't matter what your choice of diet is, it's just food. So we should just be describing it by what it contains. This is a delicious spaghetti bolognese made with lentil meatballs or made with soya mince or, you know, fresh tomatoes, lots of herbs, and don't label it. Just don't label it. So then everyone will just go, oh, that just sounds nice. Sounds like a nice dish. I'm going to order it.
Yeah, I can definitely support that simplifying a complex topic is always helping, and really to talk about a recipe and about the taste and about the ingredients, etc., is you do not have to like label it to make the consumption, to justify the consumption, right? So for us, plant-based helps also a lot, because this vegan word, as you said, it's very, very much connected with 100% approach and really an identity. So I think it's very much open to talk about a plant-based option, because it leaves room for what part of your nutrition you are creating with plant-based products. Is it milk? Is it eggs? Because it's so different, and that's the biggest challenge, is to have all these different motives tackled with your products or with your idea, with your call to action, and to really stay inclusively and talking to these different target groups is helpful, and simplifying the messages, as Tony said. So we all want to have great food, and we are here to give. We as a food producer, and then the NGOs and also movements like Veganuary are here to give guidance, and to do it in a let's say top of the edge kind of way. It's not about like having like 10 pages about the advantages of fiber. Well, nobody's going to read that, I guess. But it's really to be there where the life of people is, to bring plant-based options more in the middle of your daily life. And then social media plays a big role. Content creator, opinion leaders, they all are humans that live in an environment, and if we are able to build this positive environment and this positive narrative about the whole category, it will be a win for all of us.
Talking about terms and plant-based and vegan, how do you two, and as this was also a question from the audience, what do you think about cellular agriculture? Is it important for Veganuary, and just like what role will it play for transforming the system? And also, if that is meat, and I think it is meat, does this mean we're still sticking to like the terminology of meat and plant-based and not talking about food?
Sorry, I missed what kind of agriculture?
Yeah, me too.
Cellular agriculture, cell eggs.
Cellular.
So cultivated meat. And,
cultivated meat. Yeah, no, we love it. We're totally in favor of it, like 100% behind it. People want to eat meat. Like, that's just the reality of it. Most people want to eat meat. They like meat. They like the taste of meat. They like the texture of meat. They grew up eating meat. They know what to do with meat. That's what they want to eat. So if we can give them meat that doesn't involve animal suffering and doesn't have the huge planetary impact that traditional farming methods produce as a byproduct, then fabulous. The quicker it's on the market and affordable for people, the better.
But could it be part of your campaign actually because it's meat and it's not vegan? I mean, this is a question people discuss about, but it's no plant. It's not plant-based.
I mean, again, it just comes down to why you're choosing to eat plant-based. Like for me, it was always about, I don't want to cause animal suffering. It's nothing to do with, I don't want to put these products in my body. I just don't want to cause animal suffering where I can avoid it. And so if you could buy meat without causing animal suffering, great. I don't have a problem with that. Veganuary is all about getting away from this dogma. I am vegan, therefore I don't eat this, because that's the rule. And I follow rules. It's like, no, think for yourself. Examine every situation for yourself and decide, am I comfortable with this? Like the way this is produced, am I comfortable with eating it? Yes, I am. Therefore, I will eat it. Even if it's not technically vegan. That's what we all should be doing in every situation, really. We need to learn to think for ourselves.
That's true. I have so many questions still left. It's such a short time. We only have 10 minutes left, and for me personally, the big question here is how can we make something like a good resolution into how can we transform it into a yearly occasion? And are you planning on any campaigns and maybe new communication for the next year? What is the big thing we have to implement in the system to have this yearly change and not only the good resolution, even if some people stick to it? Yeah. Any thoughts on that? Denise, maybe you want to jump in first.
Yeah, well, I think that it is a challenge. That's not a secret how to keep up Veganuary beside January. I mean, that's clear. And I really like the approaches that you have done with these seasonal and themes all over the year. So Fish Week, Barbecue Week, a Chicken Week, and from a corporate perspective or a brand perspective, it is a very nice hook that we can jump on. So because what Veganuary has achieved is that so it's definitely for the whole. I feel like the whole food sector in Germany has participated in Veganuary. So this is set in stone. And I think this key initiative in January needs to stay. From a business perspective, also because here you start a very important month of the year in terms of your sales. So it's very important for an internal business perspective to generate that success in a period of time. So I think this really should stay. But on the other side, having more of these occasions where we as a company can jump on and really, for me as an activist also, to really tackle the different issues that come with the advantages of a plant-based nutrition. For what is the problem with chicken, what is the problem with ocean and fishery. So having these hooks really help. So let's in a nutshell keep the baseline when it comes to the positive narrative, engaging inclusively, this big hook at the beginning of the year, but then find other hooks where people can remember themselves. I used to do this, why have I stopped it, or why didn't I follow, to really use this as an extra motivator, and for businesses to have also another possibility to engage and promote the Veganuary movement with a concrete, let's say, topic, because then we can connect it. For example, we can connect it with product innovations. When we have a fish fillet, then it's nice to have this communication around fishes from Veganuary. So having this more, I think it helps from a business perspective as well.
Yeah, certainly. That's exactly why we started doing those focused weeks throughout the rest of the year, because obviously people are really engaged in January, but then over time, life happens and you're not really thinking so much about the suffering of animals or the impact on the environment, and it's a lot easier just to slip into your old habits because they're convenient. So by having these weeks, we do a week where we focus on how chickens are treated, and the environmental impacts, and then another week where we focus on fish and other sea animals, and then a week where we focus on dairy and the dairy industry. And in the summer, we have barbecue month, where we sort of, really focus on alternative products you can use on the barbecue, because we know that's something people often find quite challenging as well. It's usually very meat heavy. So it's a combination of education, but then it's really important, again, that we highlight during those weeks the products that are available for people to use, as they're making that transition, to make it as easy for them as possible. So people might be thinking, yeah, I'd love to give up fish. I've heard about overfishing. I am really concerned about the state of our oceans. But, what's out there? Like, I've tried, tofu, battered tofu, tofish as it's called, and I really didn't like it. And fish is a big part of my diet. What am I going to replace it with? So it's really good to be able to then say, and, there's these products on the market, that will replace your tuna salad and replace, your battered fish dinner and things like that. So they do go hand in hand very essentially.
So, as always, we put down the most relevant findings, and I guess we haven't talked about retail, for example. I mean, maybe you can give us like a last hint on what are the most relevant stakeholders we have to take a look at, and what we need, because something what just came up in my mind is also, this is also very Western view on the market, and while we are trying to make the people eat vegan, how can we change it also on a broader view? Now I've said different things again, mixed up, but maybe you can add something, a last thought or something you want to share with the audience.
I can go first. I think retail has a crucial role, because it can speed up the transformation, because retailers are in front and they can decide where they want to give visibility on. So the one thing is making products, plant-based products, more visible, accessible, and this is where retail, of course, plays a crucial role. On the other side, I think the role is important for, let's say, B2B internal development, because if a retailer really commits to, for example, a plant-based protein strategy, price parity, all that stuff, it speeds up discussions in other retailers, but also then producers and all the suppliers are affected by that commitment. So it's very, very helpful to have commitments from retailers, and I see that development speeding up, especially in Germany. So if one starts with something concrete and measurable and transparent, then others follow, and then brands like us have a possibility to really make our products more visible and and make the whole category relevant, because the main task for all of us is to grow the category, not only convenient products, but also vegetables as itself. So really promoting the idea of plant-based, and for that, everything that helps growing the category and every stakeholder is bringing necessary speed to the transformation.
Excellent. I would echo that 100%. Retailers are crucial. That's where people buy their food. That's where a lot of people get educated about their food, through campaigns inside supermarkets. So that really is essential. I mean, we're big fans of supermarkets putting the plant-based versions in the meat aisles right next to the meat version, so that, it's not this special section that people need to go and seek out, and that 95% of people will walk past, and only people who are vegetarian or actively looking for these products will purchase from. You should have the chicken pieces, and then next to them, the meat-free chicken pieces. So if you're making a stir fry tonight, or I keep coming back to stir fry, you can tell what I cook. Whatever you're making for dinner tonight, like, you see the product that you would normally buy, but next to it, there's a different one that looks really similar, and the price is pretty close. And, you go, oh, yeah, I should be cutting back on the amount of meat I'm eating. Maybe I'll try those. Or even better, they're on offer. And you go, hey, at the minute, this is even cheaper than what I normally buy. So it's a great opportunity for me to try this out, and then they eat it and they go, actually, that was quite nice. Like, that's how we create change, not catering to the people who already agree with us and are already doing this. And, really, certainly Veganuary isn't about those people at all. We're all about getting people who are disinterested even, and getting them to try it.
Yeah, that's the true word. I have been overwhelmed by the vegetarian butcher burger. It was just like a really great taste. I was like, oh my God, why should I eat a different burger at any time? Because it's just so good. Thank you guys for all your time, for all your thoughts and knowledge you shared with us. I have been updated out there to the audience. Thank you for sharing your questions and your time with us as well. Hopefully, we're going to talk to each other soon again. I want to invite you to join us again in February 20 to talk about food service, also a very crucial part of changing the game. And wish you all a good evening, or maybe day if it's still morning. And goodbye. Thank you for joining us.